The bullet that missed. The sun beat down mercilessly on the dusty streets of Deadwood, a ghost town clinging to life in the unforgiving heart of the Wild West. Silas, a grizzled gunslinger with eyes as cold as the winter wind, rode into town, his horse's hoofs kicking up clouds of dust. Rumors of a killing spree had drawn him to this desolate place, a place where lawlessness reigned supreme. As Silas dismounted, he noticed the town was eerily quiet. The saloon doors hung open, revealing empty tables and a cold hearth. A sense of unease settled over him as he wandered the deserted streets. The only sound was the distant echo of his footsteps and the mournful howl of a coyote. He eventually stumbled upon a small, ramshackle cabin. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney, a sign of life. Silas knocked tentatively on the door, and a young woman, her face pale and drawn, answered. She told him of the mysterious figure who had terrorized the town, a man known only as the Shadow. The Shadow had appeared out of nowhere, a dark specter that seemed to vanish into thin air. Silas's blood ran cold. He had heard whispers of the Shadow, a man with a reputation for cruelty and violence. His motives were shrouded in mystery, but his victims were always left with a single, chilling message: you were warned. Determined to bring justice to this lawless land, Silas set out to find the Shadow. His search led him to a hidden cave on the outskirts of town. As he crept closer, he heard the faint sound of voices. Peering through a crack in the cave wall, he saw the Shadow and his gang, their faces lit by flickering flames. A tense standoff ensued. Silas drew his revolver, his heart pounding in his chest. Just as he was about to fire, a gunshot rang out from behind him. He spun around to see a young woman, the same one he had met at the cabin, pointing a trembling finger at the Shadow. The Shadow's eyes narrowed. With a cold smile, he raised his weapon, his finger poised on the trigger. The air was thick with tension as the two men faced off, their lives hanging in the balance. In that moment, Silas realized that the fate of the town rested on his shoulders. He had to act, and he had to act fast. Silas lunged forward, knocking the woman aside. The bullet whizzed past his ear, embedding itself in the wall behind him. He rolled to the ground, drawing his revolver as he came up. The Shadow fired again, but Silas was quicker. A shot rang out, and the Shadow stumbled backward, clutching his chest. He looked down at the blood seeping through his shirt, his eyes filled with disbelief. "You were warned," he rasped, his voice barely a whisper. Silas stood over him, his breathing ragged. "Your reign of terror is over," he said. The Shadow slumped to the ground, his life ebbing away. Silas turned to the young woman, who was watching him with wide eyes. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded, her voice trembling. "Thank you," she said. Silas helped her to her feet and led her out of the cave. As they walked back into the town, the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the deserted streets. The people of Deadwood watched them with a mixture of fear and hope. Silas knew that his work was not done. There was still much to be done to rebuild this shattered town. But for now, he was content to simply walk away, leaving behind the ghost of the Shadow and the memory of a bullet that had missed. If you are enjoying adventures in the Old West, hit the subscribe button for future posts.